How to improve your fluency. Leo often felt a profound frustration whenever he tried to express himself in English. His thoughts raced, but words seemed to vanish, leaving him stammering and embarrassed. He had spent years studying grammar rules and vocabulary lists, yet true fluency remained a distant dream, causing significant daily struggles in his life. He yearned for genuine connection. Every morning Leo faced the same uphill battle, a silent struggle within his mind. He knew the theory, possessed a decent vocabulary, but translating thoughts into coherent spoken sentences felt like an insurmountable obstacle. This internal block often made simple conversations feel like complex puzzles, draining his confidence significantly. He desperately sought a solution. He started with traditional methods, poring over textbooks and diligently completing countless exercises. The grammar seemed logical on paper, and vocabulary flashcards piled up on his desk. However, these methods, while building foundational knowledge, did little to bridge the terrifying gap between understanding and actual fluent speech during real-life interactions. Frustrated by the lack of progress in spoken English, Leo decided to change his approach entirely. He had heard about the power of Listen English and committed himself to extensive passive immersion. He believed that if he just absorbed enough, the language would eventually seep into his consciousness and unlock his speaking ability. His new routine involved listening to British podcasts during his commute, watching BBC dramas without subtitles, and even falling asleep to English audiobooks. He meticulously tried to pick up accents and intonation patterns. This intensive listening phase consumed many hours daily, yet genuine conversational ease still felt frustratingly far away. Despite hours of listening, his daily day's struggle persisted with frustrating consistency. When someone asked him a question, his mind would still default to his native language, furiously translating before he could even attempt to formulate a reply. This constant mental gymnastics left him exhausted and often speechless in critical moments. He felt a persistent knot of anxiety in his stomach whenever he anticipated an English conversation. The fear of making mistakes, of sounding unintelligent, paralyzed him. This self-consciousness created a vicious cycle, preventing him from practicing the very skill he so desperately needed to improve: spontaneous speech. Leo observed that he could understand complex texts and follow intricate movie plots. Yet simple exchanges with native speakers often collapsed into awkward silence. This stark contrast between his receptive and productive skills highlighted the deep chasm he needed to cross, a frustrating and isolating experience every single day. One evening, while reflecting on his journey, a pivotal thought struck him like lightning. He realized that merely absorbing information wasn't enough. He needed to actively train his brain how to think and speak directly in English. The constant internal translation was the real bottleneck, holding him back fundamentally. This epiphany was profound. Fluency wasn't about knowing more words, but about processing them differently. He understood that he needed to rewire his brain to bypass the translation step, to directly associate English words with concepts, eliminating the need to revert to his mother tongue for understanding or expression. He began practicing something radical: thinking in English. While walking, eating, or performing mundane tasks, he would silently narrate his actions and observations. "I am walking down the street. The sun is shining brightly today. I need to buy groceries later." He would mentally articulate, building neural pathways. This new exercise felt awkward and slow at first, like learning to walk again. His thoughts were fragmented, sentences incomplete, but he persisted, knowing this was a crucial step. He understood that consistent internal monologue was the secret key to bridging the gap between passive understanding and active, spontaneous communication. He also started vocalizing these internal thoughts, even if just whispering to himself at home. This bridged the gap between thinking and speaking, making the transition smoother. He realized that the best way to learn English involved constant, active engagement with the language, not just academic study or passive listening. Leo embraced mistakes as learning opportunities, not failures. He no longer corrected himself mid-sentence but finished his thought, then perhaps mentally noted areas for improvement later. This reduced the pressure significantly, allowing him to speak more freely and naturally, fostering a healthier learning environment daily. He searched for conversational partners, understanding that real-time interaction was indispensable. Online language exchange platforms became his new hunting ground. He sought out native speakers who were patient and willing to correct him gently, transforming his anxiety into productive learning sessions. This was his true leap. He specifically sought out Let's Talk in British English groups, having developed a particular affinity for the accent and cultural nuances. He enjoyed the challenge of distinguishing between various regional UK accents and understanding subtle idiomatic expressions unique to British communication. This focus deepened his immersion significantly. These online conversations were initially nerve-wracking, his heart pounding with every uttered word. He stumbled, hesitated, and sometimes resorted to simpler phrases. Yet, with each session, a tiny crack appeared in his mental block, allowing a sliver of confidence to peek through, slowly but surely. One day, he found himself explaining a complex concept without translating it in his head first. The words simply flowed directly from thought to speech, an exhilarating sensation. This small victory was a monumental step, proving his new methods were genuinely working, transforming his daily interaction. He started noticing subtle improvements in his natural rhythm and intonation. He sounded less like a textbook and more like a person engaging in genuine conversation. This self-awareness further motivated him to continue pushing his boundaries, knowing that true fluency was now a tangible and achievable goal. His pronunciation, once a source of deep insecurity, also began to refine itself. He mimicked native speakers, paying close attention to vowel sounds and consonant clusters unique to British English. This meticulous practice ensured that his spoken words were clearer and more easily understood by others. Leo discovered that surrounding himself with the language in every possible way accelerated his progress exponentially. He changed his phone language to English, read English news articles, and even started writing short daily journal entries in English. Total immersion became his driving philosophy. He learned about common British phrases and expressions, understanding that cultural context was just as important as vocabulary. Phrases like taking the mickey or knackered began to seamlessly integrate into his understanding and eventually, his own active vocabulary, enhancing his naturalness considerably. His confidence soared with every successful conversation. The initial fear of public speaking in English gradually diminished, replaced by a genuine excitement to engage and communicate. He realized that the journey was not just about words, but about overcoming deep-seated psychological barriers effectively. Leo even started playfully mimicking different British accents, from a refined RP to a broader Cockney, just for fun and practice. This light-hearted approach made learning enjoyable and significantly reduced the pressure, proving that effective learning often happens when you truly embrace the process. The once overwhelming question of how to improve your fluency had now transformed into a clear, actionable path. He understood that it was a continuous process of active engagement, consistent practice, and the courage to make mistakes openly, embracing every stumble as a step forward. His Listen English phase, initially passive, evolved into active listening for specific sounds, intonations, and common sentence structures. He listened not just to understand the content, but to analyze the delivery, a far more effective and targeted approach for language acquisition. The dreaded My Daily Days struggle slowly morphed into My Daily Days growth. Each challenge became an opportunity to apply his new strategies, to think faster, to speak more spontaneously. The feeling of being stuck dissipated, replaced by a sense of continuous forward momentum daily. He no longer questioned how to think and speak, but simply did it. The mental translation process became obsolete, replaced by direct thought-to-speech connections. This seamless flow of ideas was the ultimate reward for his persistent efforts, a testament to his unwavering dedication. Leo discovered that the best way to learn English was deeply personal and multifaceted, involving a blend of active production, fearless practice, and genuine immersion, rather than relying solely on traditional methods. It was about creating an environment where the language became an integral part of his life. The question of how to learn English had transformed from a theoretical puzzle into a practical, everyday habit. He learned that consistency trumped intensity, and that even small, daily efforts compounded over time to yield astonishing results, fundamentally changing his linguistic capabilities. His story became a testament to the power of perseverance. Friends who had once witnessed his struggles were amazed by his transformation. He often shared his journey, emphasizing the importance of internal monologue and direct thinking in the target language to achieve real fluency. He learned that embracing imperfections was paramount. The fear of sounding less than perfect often prevented many learners from speaking at all. Leo, however, understood that fluency came through volume of practice, not immediate perfection, a crucial lesson for all aspiring speakers. His conversations now flowed effortlessly, discussing complex topics with ease. The joy of expressing his true self in English was immense, a feeling he never thought he would experience. He could crack jokes, engage in witty banter, and truly connect with native speakers on a deeper level. This remarkable transformation wasn't a sudden event, but a gradual culmination of countless small, consistent efforts. Each whispered thought, every awkward online conversation, every moment of active listening contributed to his eventual success, proving the power of incremental progress. He realized that how to learn English was fundamentally about changing one's internal relationship with the language. It was less about memorizing rules and more about making English a living, breathing part of his consciousness, integrated into his daily mental processes. His focus on Let's Talk in British English had also significantly enriched his cultural understanding. He learned about British humor, social etiquette, and regional differences, making his interactions not just linguistically proficient, but culturally sensitive and deeply authentic too. Leo now passionately advised others to narrate their daily lives silently in English, emphasizing this simple yet profound technique. He believed it was the fastest way to train the brain to bypass translation, directly linking thoughts to English expressions, fundamentally improving speaking speed. He frequently encouraged learners to step outside their comfort zones, to seek out opportunities for real-world conversations, no matter how small or intimidating they seemed. He understood that courage to speak was just as vital as grammar knowledge for true fluency development. His journey truly was a very interesting story, inspiring many of his hesitant friends to embark on their own language learning adventures. He showed them that fluency was attainable not through magic, but through dedicated effort and strategic practice, transforming their perspectives. He created a small online group for aspiring British English speakers, sharing tips and tricks he had learned along the way. His personal experience now served as a beacon of hope and practical guidance for others navigating similar linguistic challenges, fostering a supportive community. Leo emphasized the importance of finding one's own unique motivation. For him, it was connecting with British culture and being able to express his personality fully. This intrinsic drive fueled his persistence through moments of doubt and frustration, keeping him on track constantly. He explained that how to talk in English wasn't just about vocabulary, but about intonation, rhythm, and body language too. He studied how native speakers expressed emotions and conveyed meaning beyond mere words, making his communication more nuanced and impactful daily. He also recommended daily exposure, even if only for 15 minutes. Consistency, he stressed, was far more effective than sporadic, intense study sessions. Short, regular bursts of English immersion kept the language active in his mind, preventing stagnation effectively. Leo often recalled his initial days, filled with self-doubt and awkward silences. The contrast with his current fluency fueled his desire to help others overcome similar hurdles. His empathy for struggling learners was profound, rooted in his own challenging journey. He had truly internalized the concept that language is a skill, not just a body of knowledge. Like playing an instrument or riding a bicycle, fluency required practice, repetition, and real-time application, not just theoretical understanding, a paradigm shift for his learning. His transformation was not just linguistic, it was deeply personal. He gained self-confidence, became more outgoing, and discovered new aspects of his personality through the lens of another language, broadening his perspective on the world significantly. He sometimes shared anecdotes of his early blunders, turning potentially embarrassing moments into humorous learning experiences for others. These stories resonated deeply, making his advice more relatable and encouraging for learners who feared making mistakes constantly. Leo's journey underscored the fact that fluency is a mindset as much as a skill. It involves daring to speak, accepting imperfections, and continuously pushing personal boundaries, transforming the learning process from a chore into an exciting adventure. He now found genuine pleasure in watching British comedies and dramas, understanding every subtle joke and cultural reference. This deep appreciation for the nuances of the language and culture was a testament to his dedication and relentless pursuit of fluency. The fear of judgment, once his biggest impediment, had completely dissipated. He realized that most native speakers were encouraging and appreciated the effort, making conversations enjoyable rather than intimidating, a huge mental barrier overcome finally. Leo's story, from struggling learner to confident communicator, became a beacon of hope for countless individuals. He proved that with the right strategies and unwavering dedication, Anyone could achieve their dream of fluent English, no matter their starting point. His final advice: embrace the journey, celebrate small victories, and never stop speaking. Fluency isn't a destination but a continuous process of growth, discovery, and joyful communication, enriching life in countless unexpected ways, every single day.